aboard on a Wednesday program here on Mad Dog Unleashed. On a busy day, good to have you with us on a midweek show. Schmeling and Erickson and Zimmerman all three of them weighing Rockies over 82.5. We'll have some fun with that in the course of our day. We got a lot to do. It's good to have you with us. 888 Mad Dog 6 on the great Sirius XM 82. Tom Verducci a little later on some baseball. We have an author coming in who did a great job on 1968, the year of the pitcher, Shakar Papu. Believe it or not, that is his name. 50th anniversary. Denny McClain, Bob Gibson, Don Drysdale. We'll do that in the course of the day. We got a lot going on as far as the weeks are concerned. The Masters, you got Armin Catane coming in here on Tiger on Monday with the other author. We're looking forward to that. So we got a lot happening on this busy afternoon. It's great to have you aboard. Pleasure. I wish we did it maybe a little better notice with the team on the way to the Final Four, but nice enough to give us an appearance here. He doesn't have to, and he does. And that is Duke head coach. We'll start the program with Duke head coach Mike Krzyzewski. Coach, good to have you with us today. How are you? Okay?
Yeah, good. Obviously we're disappointed. We were in an amazingly, it's just a terrific game with Kansas and, in the Elite Eight. And, there's obvious, you have a play or two that where it can go the other way, but they made one more play than us, and they're good. And so I'm proud of my team. They won 29 games, and they did a good job. And it was an honor to be in a game like that. You just want to be on the other side of it.
Well, there's a lot to digest on the game, Mike. Let's do that first, then we'll move on to some big issues,
sure.
Big things with you, just to get a little sense of where you are mentally and how you talk about the Final Four and what have you. Big possession of the game in my eyes, when you really had a chance to, really, I think, maybe put the game away, up 3 with the ball, about 120, maybe a little less than that in regulation. I don't recall the shot, but I know you didn't score. You score a basket there, I think you're going to win. You did not. Give me a little sense. Do you remember it? And give me a little sense of that possession. Go ahead.
Obviously, I remember almost everything about the game. The possession that was the biggest was under 40 seconds, and we're up 72-69, and
that's the one. Yep.
We got the ball, like 3 feet from the basket, and I'm not blaming the kid. Wendell Carter has it. He's 1-on-1, and he was short on a shot. It's in a great position. You're right there. Again, they're playing defense, so it's not like they're giving you a layup. But if you score there, you're going to go, or you get fouled, you're going to go up 2 possessions instead of 1.
Right.
And we missed. They came down. They hit a 3. We had scored or gotten fouled a few times in a row on a certain action that we run, and we thought, let's do it, because they won't, after a timeout they could put up something different. And Grayson, made the play, and the ball was in and out, and then it rolled around again, and it's overtime, and they win. And so it's we had, I thought, 2 really good chances to win, and they had 1, and they completed theirs, and we didn't complete, the 2 that we had.
But you're happy with the possessions overall? You like the possession?
Yeah. I mean, the one with 38 seconds to go. I mean, we should score then, but we didn't. And again, that's on all of us. And then Grayson's thing, I'm not. You ever blame a kid for missing a shot that goes in and out and then rolls around? I mean, so.
Yeah, you got to live with it. Some go in, some don't. They're not all going to go in. I get that. Now listen. The fouls are the fouls. They had their big kid foul out, and there's obviously plays here and there. You can quibble if you're Kansas, quibble if you're Duke, but very shaky on the offensive, on the blocking foul with Carter for his 5th, 2:40 something to go in overtime. You looked a little perplexed. I mean, you're up 1 at the time. He fouls out. Game isn't over there if they go the other way on the whistle, but that's a huge play in the OT. Any comment on that for a sec?
Yeah, well, again, we should have won the game already, so I'm not going to blame the loss. I'd never blame a loss on a call, but in that call, if you ask me what it was an easy charge, and but look, that would have kept Carter in the game, and which is better. But also we had a 1-point lead, and then you get the ball. But again, that didn't win or lose the game. The couple possessions at the end of regulation could win the game. It didn't lose the game, but it could win the game. And so those things happen. I mean, there's probably a few calls during the game that went our way that someone thinks should have gone the other way. So
you got to live with it. I mean, I agree. I didn't like that call at all. It was a big call in the game. All right, Bagley only got 9 shots. I know that necessarily isn't by design. Not a great job on you getting him the ball, or a great job by them making sure he didn't get the ball, or a combination of both.
Yeah, well, it's always it's usually a combination of both. They and when he did get the ball, they right away double or triple teamed him. And so, it's not on him, it's on us. But then you get to a point where even if I get the ball, I can't. There's no place to go with it. And they sagged off of, depending on who we had in the game, at least one of our players, sometimes two. And that was one of the deficiencies we had on our team. We had a lot of great things, but each team has some weaknesses. Ours was we didn't have the perimeter depth that we had. Big guy depth and good players. But would I have wanted Marvin to have more shots? Obviously, yes.
Yeah, and, you took 29. I mean, listen, that's a lot of threes. Everybody shoots the three. You took 29 of them. Is that too many in your eyes? Is that if they go in, it's great. Now, sometimes, they don't go in. It looks like that you are not getting the ball down low enough and everything else.
The thing about sport is whatever you don't do if you lost is what you should have done. But if you won and you did that, then you should have done it. You know. So the stuff afterwards, like we had good shots, and whether we don't go in thinking we're going to get 22 threes or shoot 32 or 18 or whatever the game. Each game has its different flow, and depending on the group that you're playing against, there's some things that you get and some things that you don't get. We had good looks, and afterwards you wish you would have hit one more in regulation. So I for me, I shake their hand, and it's not so much anything our kids didn't do. Again, whatever strategy, if someone wants to say you should have done this, you should have done that, then everybody should have an opinion on that. That's okay. But the other thing is they're good. Malik Newman, was sensational and has been sensational in their conference tournament and in the NCAA tournament. I mean, he has scored, I think, in the NCAA tournament as much as just about any Kansas player ever. And we knew going into the game that he was their hottest player, and in the first half, he did not score as much. But Graham, who had not been shooting, but is one of the first-team All-American, he had a couple of huge threes for them that were real deep, and which he had not been doing the last few games. But for great players, outstanding players, it doesn't make any difference what they did in the games before. They show up in a game like that, and so Graham kept them, in a really good position, and Malik Newman really, he was the guy.
Well, he made those threes in the second half. I mean, what are you going to do? He's been superb, and that'll be a heck of a matchup. Villanova, I'll ask you about it. They flashed him in the middle, right, Coach? They flashed the guy to the foul line, and he had a choice of shooting it or pushing it to either corner, and they found a little weakness there, and it seemed to work there in the second half. Is that exactly what they did against the 2-3?
With 38 seconds to go, the score of the game was 72-69. And we were leading.
You can take that. You'd settle for that, right? I get it.
69 means
it's not a ton of points. Not a ton of points.
They were averaging 80-something points a game. So we didn't lose because they shredded the zone or whatever. We lost because we didn't complete a play.
Right.
And 69 points for them with 38 seconds to go. You should be in a position. I'll take that any time against them.
Yeah, so you think more offensive execution late. You think that's the reason why you lost the game.
Right.
One last thing on that, and then you personally. I have to go back and look. A lot of games, a lot going on right now. You left. Did Carter pick up his third foul in the first half?
Yeah, but we do that.
You do that? Okay.
Yeah, and I don't subscribe at all, because we've won a lot of games where somebody takes their guy out with 12 minutes to go in the first half because he has 2 fouls and doesn't play him again. And we've done this the whole year, where you try to teach your guys to have the discipline. And if you do something in the regular season where you screw up, you learn from it. Because, look, to win big games, you need your guys playing. So when he fouled out, we get more time from him than if we would have set him for the whole? Again, I don't want to go completely in discussing that strategy, because I don't believe in it. I've never believed in it. And that doesn't mean you don't get burned at times, but I'd rather get burned a few times,
right,
than getting burned every time my guy gets 2 fouls.
So you slept fine. That did not bother you after the game. That's the basic.
None.
Does Mike Krzyzewski? I know you wouldn't in a regular season. Does Mike Krzyzewski, in a losing scenario, you'll watch the winning games for the rest of your life, but in a losing scenario, do you sit there and fret and watch that game play by play on a Monday when the season's over, or you let it go?
No, I always watch a game right away. So on the plane going home, I watch the games just so I have a clear picture of what actually happened, not what I think happened. And I do that all the time. So now, once I do that, then look, let's get on to the next season. Let's get on to who's going pro. Let's get on to our guys' academic. Let's get on to the next thing, the next play, because it's not like then showing them tape. We're not playing anymore. That's the end of that team, and that's the abrupt ending that you have. But for me, the knowledge of what really happened, that's important, because I don't want to live a lie. Like I thought this was happening, but then a month later you watch and say, well, that didn't happen.
Right.
This is what happened. So I'd rather know that right away, and you take responsibility for the decisions you make, and really at that time too, the season is over, you make sure that you don't hold anything against the player or an official or anything after that, because it doesn't give you anything. It takes away from you doing a positive thing and the next thing you're going to do.
Right.
So you got to get rid of that right away, and I think you get rid of it quicker if you
watch it and don't let it linger and get a sense.
But you also know the truth, not what you think is the truth, because you see it in an unemotional state, not in a state where they're it's going back and forth and you're emotional, the crowd and whatever. I mean, you can, you make we all make mistakes during in that type of thing, and you can see it, or what you see then can be different than what you see, when you watch the tape.
Right. All right. Let's do a couple quick. I know you got to run here quick. Let's do a couple things. 1963. Growing up in Chicago, do you remember that Loyola team pretty well?
Yeah. I taped our Sirius show today that we do, and that was one of the things I talked about. I was a sophomore in high school, and at that time there was these things called transistor radios.
Sure.
And
I'm not that young. I know what they are.
Okay, but there are a lot of listeners who probably don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Coach Ireland's Loyola team. I can remember listening to the Cincinnati game against Ed Jucker's team with Ron Bonham and these guys, and Jerry Harkness was the star, Vic Rouse, Leslie Hunter, Johnny Egan, and I listened to every second of the national championship game, and then you fantasized what was going on. You heard it, but the pictures that you put in your own mind based on what the radio announcer was saying. But it was terrific.
I had Harkness on Friday.
Did you? Yeah, he's a classy guy.
Oh, I was. First off, he is sharp as a tack. Here's one thing. Here's one thing that he said you will find fascinating. Because I was really floored by it. He said in the '63 game. He said two things about the 63-66. He said the '63 game we had Egan running our team. So a lot of people thought, well, like the black quarterback. Well, they had the white point guard, 4 black guys, so we didn't get the full credit we should have gotten. And he said that was the great thing the 66 team did, because the 66 team had Bobby Joe Lee. What was his name? Bobby Joe Hunter? I forget his point guard's name. And they had him, so that erased that, which was interesting. And then the second thing he says, the thing I loved about it when we played Mississippi State, and we played them in East Lansing, that was a basketball game, black kids, white kids, no big deal. He said, I love that game so much, and when you watch the Texas Western game, it's almost 5 black kids against 5 white kids. It was also us against them. When we played Mississippi State 3 years earlier, and they had a lot of white kids, and we had obviously a lot of black kids, it wasn't the same sense, so he enjoyed that Mississippi State game. Give me your thoughts on those two things. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, he knows it better than anyone. It was a time of change, of racial tension and change in our, the 60s were an explosive time period, and rightfully so, because a lot of that stuff needed to be blown up. And I think basketball was a great one of the great things about basketball was that it helped in bringing about change, especially once TV started, because then you could actually see white and black hugging one another, competing with one another, against one another, and whatever. And so, Harkness and the Loyola team, the Texas Western teams, those guys were pioneers during a very explosive time period in our society, and thank goodness they won, because that helped move the ACC and people to integrate, because you take a look at a lot of the teams in the ACC, and I'm sure the Big Ten was like this too, that they're mostly white guys, and and then all of a sudden I think sport had a lot to do with helping, and it continues to have a lot to do with helping. And but Jerry's comments are well taken.
Yep.
And he became a really good TV person in the city of Chicago.
Oh, really? That's right.
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson, by the way, convinced him to play basketball. He said that, too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was playing pickup basketball in the Y in Harlem in 1961 or 62. Didn't play his junior year. Guy taps him on the shoulder, says, "Hey, what team are you on?" And he said, "I don't play." And he said, "What do you mean don't play?" He says, "Go out for the team." So the next year he went out for the team. He made the team. Turned around, it was Jackie Robinson. How about that?
That's terrific.
That's why you do talk radio, by the way.
Yeah, I'm glad you had Jerry on, because I always thought that I haven't seen him, or I've met him and talked with him. He's a classy guy.
No question. I give my producer. Don't give me the credit. Give the producer the credit. He got him on.
That was a good thing.
Good get. Quickly, Kansas Villanova. Villanova's the favorite. Is this a 50-50 game? You want to give Villanova a big edge? Let me hear your thoughts on that.
No, there's no big edge in this game. And the thing that Villanova has. And it doesn't mean Kansas doesn't have it, but Villanova's been together even longer, and they have guys who've won a national championship on their team, and they have, I think, the toughest player in college basketball.
Brunson, you like Brunson?
And Brunson,
right.
And now, to me, an interesting matchup is he and Graham, because Graham's probably right behind him, and Kansas has a terrific perimeter, and so does, they both have terrific teams, but Kansas starts 4 perimeter guys, and Villanova can guard that, but the shooting of the three, there'll be more threes in that game because Villanova has shot it always, but they shoot it even more now, and Kansas really shoots it, and because they have the 4 guards starting.
Right. So who makes the more of them will probably win. So.
I think, and that guard matchup, if either one of them, if Graham gets in foul trouble, it hurts them even more than Villanova. But if one of those guys, both those guys, to me, have to play like 38 minutes or 40 minutes for their team to win.
Interesting. All right, quickly, last thing on Capel. I know he's been with you for a long time. Yeah. He goes to Pitt. Now, I'm going to ask it this way. I know he's going to do a good job. I know you love him. I'm going to ask it this way. I would think that he would be one of the guys, when you finally decided I've had enough, that he could be a guy that could be a Duke replacement. Now, I'm going to read it this way. You say I'm crazy? Fine, go ahead. This tells me that Coach K is a long way from hanging him up, the fact that he took the Pittsburgh job. Is that fair for me to say?
Well, I don't know if that tells you. I'll tell you without you even after reading tea leaves or anything here, or crystal ball. This is the best I've felt in 10 years. After a season.
Really?
And yeah, by far. Because one, I'm healthy completely. I mean, I got all these body parts now. I have 2 knee replacements, 2 hips, and I walk straight. I never fight any kind of pain. I'm good. But the other thing too is this is the only thing I'm doing. Which is a lot. But I'm not doing USA basketball, and that's made me look. I loved
making you a little. It's making you a little fresher. Bottom line, makes you a little fresher.
Yeah, because there was no break. There was no break, and whatever people think that it's you don't have to do much for USA basketball, and they can think it, but you think about it every day, and if you don't do a lot with it, then you're the guy and you're the team that doesn't win, and when you win, then everything was easy.
You get no credit. You get no credit. You're damned if you do.
I'm not even. I'm not looking for credit.
Right.
I'm just saying the reality of commitment that the coaches and the players have for that is real, and it doesn't you just show up and win, and because it's such an honor but such a responsibility, you think about it all the time. And so if you would ask Pop, he understands that because now he has the reins, and you want to make it right, and it's your country's team. So what I'm saying is I don't have an end game right now. I'm getting ready for next season, and this is a great opportunity for Jeff and his family, and to build a program that has had. It's not like Pitt hasn't been good. Pitt's been really good.
But it's hard to believe. Hard to believe that you. What are you? 70? I don't even know. 71.
71.
71. Yeah. I mean, it is hard to believe. You got nothing to prove. That you still are into this on a day in day out. That's not Wooden got out, Knight got out, not Mike. Dean Smith got out, not Mike Krzyzewski. You're still going strong. You got to admit that's unique. Am I right or wrong?
Well, I don't know how you're supposed to feel when you're 71. I feel better at 71 than I did at 61, and I try not to think age. And those other guys didn't coach at Duke. I love where I'm at, and I love the kids, and I love college basketball, but I also love the preparation, Chris, and that's the thing that I think when that becomes work instead of,
that's when you get out. That's when you get out.
Yeah, and I'll know that. I don't know that now. That's not how I feel. And thank goodness that Duke sticks with me too, and we keep going. And again, I'm not going to say how long, because as soon as you put an end game in there, then you start taking your foot off the gas, I think.
And you're not going to do that. You know what? Do. I'm not sure if we're going to get you next week, and if we don't, you know how much I appreciate you coming on here in the month of March.
No, I've enjoyed it, and
I get a lot of. Believe it or not, I get a lot of people who tell my little buddies who may not follow the college basketball day in day out. They love the Krzyzewski spot. Even when you get mad at me. So as a result of that,
I don't get mad at you. You should know the difference between mad and annoy.
Yeah, I can. If I was in one of your practices, I get the mad aspect. You get annoyed once in a while, which is okay.
Yeah, I'd make you do some suicides, but that's all. But I'd still let you play.
Yeah, you let me play. Well, if I could play, that's for sure. We'll have we'll have a good break here. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, very good. Mike Krzyzewski kept him a little longer than I was supposed to, but he did a good job. We got Dan Lang. We got who? Oh, Zig. Going to break down the hockey. All right. Minnesota got a point last night. I'm going to get that over. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed.